What's wrong with your defense?
I don't know if it's the wrong part of it. I think when you look at the beginning of the game, the one thing that we didn't, our objective was to stop their run game, to stop Wallace. So we didn't do either. In the beginning of the game, we had chances to get off the field on third down. Didn't get that accomplished. Anytime somebody's 50% on you, we give up 2 touchdowns on fourth down plays that one we didn't get lined up correctly, other one we misplay a ball. So I don't know, from a standpoint of us just getting better fundamentally and technique-wise, that's what we need to do. But we have to start off games much better than what we've done.
You can't be happy with the missed tackles that you saw.
Yeah, I mean, it's, some of the plays that we could have made are fundamental and technique plays. So I didn't like our tackle. I didn't think that we cut it loose. I thought we missed quite a few from guys that are regularly pretty good tacklers. So that was disappointing.
Is there something that you saw where guys are just leaving their feet too early, trying to make a
Yeah,
hit?
a little bit of everything with it. I think, getting to space and you start to overthink, a little bit unsure of angles, and some of that stuff happens. So, the biggest thing that we can do is just regroup ourselves. The one thing I was proud of, the guys came out in the second half and they fought and they battled, but, we just ran out of time because we played so poorly in the first half. But, this team, these kids won't stop fighting. I was extremely proud of that, but we just got to get better, especially in the beginning of ball games.
On Monday, Coach Herman said he didn't know why there were so many struggles this year in the first possession, or that the offense.
Well, I knew that. I mean, going into Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's a different animal, don't get me wrong, but that part of it, and it's been simply this, some missed opportunities to make plays, but more critically is third down. Those first possession third downs, if you go back to if you go back to Baylor, we had the opportunity like 3 times to get off the field, and Baylor don't get it done, they score. And then, play really well in the first 2 plays of Oklahoma State, have a third down play to get off the field, we don't get it accomplished, and they hit Wallace on a big throw right after it. So it's a combination of us not finishing plays, but a combination of us not getting off the field. Like I told you guys before, and I told you last week, disappointed in the third down defense. It's up to 39%, which for me personally, it's never been that way. So today was an emphasized, third down day and tight red zone day. I like where we're at tight red zone wise, but third down has been, very emphasized that we have to make plays and we have to cut loose and we got to get pressure on the quarterback.
He mentioned on Monday he was going to talk to you about that issue. What was that conversation like, if it happened?
Well, no, we had to talk. Like I said beforehand, I'm aware of everything. Everything is, in terms of what's going on with us, is always looked at. So when a game is done and we take our 4 games that our opponent's going to watch, and we watch what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong and what we need to call more of and what we need to call less of, that's done every week on Sunday. So that's my job as a coordinator. But simply this, probably shuffling around with some different looks and making guys probably, in my opinion, just cut it loose. Because there's a lot of plays out there that can be made, in my opinion, should be made, that there's a little bit of hesitation. So what you do is just practice it and you try to put them in as many stressful positions as you can. And remember, we're very youthful back there too. So there's some younger guys that are back there that are just, new environment, new style. The calls are very similar to what they're used to. Put a little wrinkles in there, but not to overwhelm them. And I'm trying to be very mindful of how youthful we are back there, to not give them too much, because I want to make sure they know what they're doing.
Specifically with the secondary, Brandon and Chris didn't seem like they had their best games. What were kind of the issues that you saw on tape that in the secondary?
Brandon, there was a couple things Brandon alignment-wise, so we got those cleaned up, and and that's not Brandon. Trust me, when I bring up stuff with him, it's simply we've got to do a better job as coaches of making sure there's no apps that kid's, because that kid cares, that kid's super intelligent. So from a teaching standpoint, we just got to make sure that he gets those right. There's a couple things that we just got to clean up in terms of ball judgment, things like that we've been working on in practice, and we continue to work on them. Chris, it's just, I've talked about Chris. We all know what Chris is about. He's got all the tools to go into it. He has to put it all together. To sit there on the one throw on 4th and 1, and it's just a little bit. It's a timing issue. I'm running down the sidelines because I think he's going to pick the ball off, and Wallace jumps over top of him, but that's in between the ears, and that to me is about just keep talking to Chris. It's a tough position to play at corner, and just continue to build his confidence, because he will do it consistently all the way through a game. So it's there. It's just he's got to just let it go and go out and play ball.
Coach,
Was his head not right,
Who?
Chris?
No. he's
You
not.
know, with the suspension, didn't
No.
play.
No. This is grown man stuff. Like
Right.
just like when you write for your guys and something happens to you, you're a pro. You go to work and you do your best you can. So that stuff that's overrated
Yeah.
stuff.
Some of the stuff with the defense, is it almost as simplistic as Poona Ford is in the NFL, Malik Jefferson's in the NFL, Holton?
Well, I
Sean?
think that's a
It's a
little bit a piece of experience part too. I mean, it's you like I said beforehand, you lose some draft guys. It's not an excuse, but it's an experience deal. So you're dealing with guys that have seen it all, that played in environments. It's not their first time going to a certain stadium. It's not their first time playing a night game, prime time, but it's not an excuse. We don't make excuses in this program. We just develop. So those guys, how do you get a guy to become Malik Jefferson? You just work really, really hard in practice, and you coach. You coach, and you continue to coach guys until you get them at that level. So to me, it's kind of a yes and no. I mean, you're talking about losing pros. Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense that you lose pros. You're not going to be as good as if you had them there, but we're never going to make that excuse, and we're going to continue to work.
Can you
Yep.
comment at all on the 4th down and 1, the first touchdown? Did you think that number 89 was an eligible receiver?
It's
on
not
that
going to
play?
get called. Any separation, in my opinion, in most leagues, any separation he's going to be good. So to me, it's one of those plays where I think when you take a picture of it from the side, from a guy, or from fans that don't do ball a lot, I think you might look at that and say, oh, yeah, I think he's covered up. But we're good with that. I mean, to me, that's football. We see that the majority of the time where it's just separation. You have separation, you're good.
The slow starts. Any other common denominator, since it keeps repeatedly happening?
Third down. I think that's the common denominator.
Is there confusion on the third
No,
down?
there's no confusion. It's
Yeah.
just what it comes down to is just cutting it loose and
Right.
executing. And there's been some schematic stuff too. Not every time. When we went back and studied the whole thing, on Sunday night, there was a couple plays that they checked to. They saw where we're in,
Yeah.
and they got completions on us. But it's just letting it go
Yeah.
in the beginning of ball games. It just seems like we start to settle down. Like we didn't
Yeah.
Oklahoma State in the second quarter. It took us the half to get settled in, but
Right.
it seems with this crew they're a little bit better as the game starts to go.
Going forward, do you think that's going to affect the way that you guys decide whether you want to defer or receive the ball to start the game?
No, it's not. Now, like I told Herm, I said this since we were at Houston. It was like, you don't even have to ask me. The worst thing a coordinator could do is say, hey, let's get the ball because I'm over here worried about first possession. That ain't ever going to happen. So it's, that's the way we do it around here, and we've done it all the way since Houston. So he doesn't even ask me anymore. He's going to defer if we want to toss, and unless there's some circumstances, whether it's weather, whether it's the team we're playing. We might play a team like Navy where it's like we want to try to get as many possessions as possible, something like that. But if he asks me, I'm always going to tell him to defer.
Under Traymart, so your defense has been able to get to the quarterback,
Yeah.
whether it's through the blitzing or using the linebackers. It's not happening as regularly as it maybe you saw last year.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can pinpoint as far as
No,
that?
I think what a lot of people are doing on third down is getting the ball out of their hands. So I think last year when you're looking at, okay, what is the difference? Why are we able to get to the quarterback? Probably covering guys probably a little bit better. So, when you cover guys or you're on them, quarterback might hold the ball, but if you got a little bit of separation, that ball's getting thrown right now. So I think it's a combination of a little bit of that, but I really see it because we watch all the third down stuff, and that ball's coming out. Unless you just completely beat a guy scot-free, which, a couple times have, but not a lot of the times, that ball's coming out. And the one thing that we need to do a better job of is get turnovers. So we're starting to hit a little bit of a dry spell on those things. And what we have to understand in our league, really simple, is this. If you can get off the field on third down and lessen possessions, or you can get the ball on turnovers and set up your offense, that is absolutely critical. And then, you do that, you can set yourself up for a good lead, a real good lead, if you can keep the other team, on the field. So that's I'm more disappointed in that and getting the explosive plays. There are a couple in there, just, a couple sacks, but I'm talking about, pick sixes, things that happened last year where we kind of got on a roll on it, and we're just waiting for that to happen.
Stylistically, your defense draws a lot of influence from Iowa State. What were they able to do so well that limited West Virginia's?
Well, they was a night game for them, a blackout game for them, and they're so impressive how hard they play. And that was the one thing that I thought. They confused Will a little bit in terms of some of the stuff that they did, which was different from what they've done in the past. But in my opinion, they got tackles for loss and sacks, and WVU had some penalties. So they kept getting pushed back in the second and long, and eventually it became third and long, and they won the third down battle. I think they were 1 of 10, West Virginia was, which anytime that you can do that, if you can hold somebody to 10% on third down, you're going to have a long, long day offensively. So I think those are the things, creating negative yardage plays, and then also doing a really good job on third down really helped their cause.
How'd they confuse Will? How'd they confuse Greer?
What's that?
How'd they confuse
I don't
him?
know if they necessarily. I think what happened is what they do is there's a lot of 8-man drop.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like that, and I think
Right.
they do a really good job. Iowa State does of kind of plastering on receivers. So there's not a lot of space. I mean, you think number count. If 4 guys are going out and you got 8 to cover them, there's not going to be a lot of windows in there. And I thought they did a good job. Even when he was scrambling and their receivers were working to get open, they did a really good job of staying on their guys
Yeah.
and just causing him not to have a lot of, room to throw footballs. And if you do that to a quarterback, it just becomes, what do I do? And he threw some away and, threw a pick. So,
Right.
They did a good job.
You guys talked a lot about maybe saving, guys for the last 4 games that could be potential red shirts and playing them over the next 4. Is there maybe a plan in place to play some young guys and get some more playing time?
There is. It kind of runs through Herm. I think you've got to kind of get the okay. So majority of those guys are with us, but some of those guys are over on look team. So I think you'll see more of those guys value on special teams than not necessarily on defense. The one thing that, you look at the year and a half that we've been here, every game has been a barn burner. So, especially when you go down this stretch, in November with a chance to win the league, I think it's, I don't know the reality of saying like, okay, we're going to test drive this kid, in a big ball game. I think if you're going to do it, you might see him run down on a kickoff. You might see him on, a punt return team or maybe something like that to try to get him his reps that way.
So you're going to just hurt your candidacy as a head coach to throw you a softball?
No,
So-
we're at the University of Texas.
Yeah, I know.
You already beat me up enough as it is. So. No, but it's not about that. It's about
Yeah.
getting better, and it's about making sure that our kids are being developed. I think that's the one thing that when you look at where we're at as a program right now, when you look at some of those younger faces
Right.
that are in there, our job's to get them better. And that's what
Right.
we're doing. So
Right.
the rest of that stuff means nothing.
Isn't it is?
Hey man, what's up?
What's going on?
I ain't seen you in a couple weeks. Where you
It's
been?
been terrible. Isn't it as simple as you had a couple of starters that were suspended against Maryland and a couple against
No.
Oklahoma State?
No, like I said before, Henry, there's no excuses, man. There's none. We don't do that in our program, and it's like I said beforehand. We're going to line up with our guys, and we're going to go out there, and we've got to play better. That's it, man. That's what we're talking about. There's no excuses. I'm not going to get up here and tell you a million different things about this could go wrong. Got to get better. That's it.
Thanks.
Cool.
Appreciate
All right,
it.
yeah, absolutely.
So what was the best thing you saw out of your offense?
Uh,
Saturday night?
One thing was the perseverance. I think our guys continued to fight regardless of the score of the game and had opportunities. I was proud of them for that. I think, they didn't care about the score. They just kept working hard and playing hard, and we ended up making some plays.
Sam had no ill effects from his shoulder at all. It didn't look
Not
like
not
that.
really, no. I thought played well. AP and the training staff did a great job preparing them. Just all the right things, in terms of the treatment, how many throws to get, and what to do with them, which allowed him, Sam, to have confidence out there and he could play carefree and didn't have to worry about it. And a lot of credit goes to AP and the guys down in the training room.
Colin said that AJ Green gave him some trouble out there on the outside with pressing and everything. What did you see on tape from him?
Yeah, I think, AJ changed up technique a lot. I think Colin was thinking too much he was trying to use techniques and fundamentals to beat a guy. Is he outside? Is he inside? Is he head up? Like, is he going to bail? Is he going to jam me hard? As opposed to just kind of being more reactionary and just coming off the ball. I think later in the game he did. I think he stopped worrying about trying to be perfect on his release and just get open. And we found him a little bit more.
Had a few drop passes.
Yeah.
More than usual.
Yeah, I mean.
How many did you count? As drops?
I didn't. I don't know. I don't. I don't know how many we dropped.
Any explanation for this guy?
It's uncharacteristic of him.
Mm-hmm.
But on the same token, it's going to happen. He doesn't mean to drop him. I could promise you that. It's just part of the game.
Is Sam showing you, especially as a play caller, that no matter what the score, you guys are never going to be out of it, and you guys you have a quarterback that you can depend to get you guys back into games? Yeah,
and it's not just Sam. I think he's obviously the catalyst to it, but Colin and LJ, and how about Beck? He made a couple catches, and Keontae, and like all of those plays. Sam's a part of it, offensive line protecting or blocking or whatever it may be. So I think the offense in general feels that.
Sam obviously didn't statistically have one of his best games, but he still had one of his better throwing days in terms of ball location and accuracy. Did you feel like that was the case?
Yeah, I thought he threw the ball well. When you're taking shots and you're throwing a lot of balls down the field, you're not going to have a very high percentage. We don't like some of these guys that are at 70%, and you look and there's five passes thrown over 20 yards, and 22 of them are behind line of scrimmage. I know they should have a high percentage, but we're launching the ball down the field some. We understand that as coaches, and it's about when we get those opportunities, we got to take advantage of them. And at times we did, and at times we didn't in the game. And we shot ourselves in the foot a lot. We had 2 big plays called back because of penalties in the course of the game. And like traditionally, we hadn't been doing that in the past 6 games, but we did it in this game.
You guys obviously got 4 games where you can play freshmen but still redshirt them.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on Rising and Thompson and what scenario it would take for them to get on the field?
There's been some talk about that, but honestly, for me, just speaking, I'm more focused on we got to win. Like, I'll worry whether those guys play or not. It's not like a receiver or an O-lineman or whatever, running back, or even running back's probably the same. We got to win these games, and we owe it to the whole team to do that, and not as much, does a guy going to get his 4 games worth. And I think they understand that. We've talked to them about it. We always tell them, be ready, you never know. And when that situation arises, we'll certainly talk about it on the headset with Coach Herman. And when Coach Herman, if he feels like, hey, let's do that, we will.
So, Tim, was there a sense that guys wanted a little more time off during the bye week, and that led to some of these decisions that led to suspensions?
No, I don't. I think it's about where you're at in the season. And you see it in a lot of places. There's a lot of schools that are dealing with unique situations at this time. You're dealing with teenagers, young adults, the guys that have been grinding and going about this for a long period of time, and it's a grind. And you guys know, you're around it some in terms of what they have to go through, from treatment and rehab and study hall to a tutor to class to film sessions to practice to over and over and over for 14, 16, 18 weeks. Every now and then stuff like that does happen, and it's not intentional. It's not, hey, screw those guys, I'm gonna not come into a lift, or I'm gonna miss a meeting on purpose. That's not the intention by the guys, and I think that's a big part of it. If it was intentional, there'd be more issues. It's not intentional.
How was LJ's play in your mind?
How'd he play? Okay, you know, I thought, I mean, they were doubling them quite a bit, inside and outside, but that was their base coverage.
Sure.
And we kind of knew that going in, that it was going to be a little bit harder to get him the ball in this ball game. We kind of knew that.
What do you think you guys have to do to prevent the delay of game penalties coming out of breaks?
I don't know, like that's we seem to get one of those almost every game. You know, it's just part of that. They start the clock fast. We gotta get out there faster. You know, we try not to give too much to the QB on those, but sometimes it is. Like you notice we got it. He was checking the play, and sometimes that happens.
Stands out about West Virginia's defense.
Fast. You know, those guys are fast. They're not real big, but they're fast. They're good up front, I think. They do a good job. I had a couple of transfer guys come in that help them. They're really quick. They're running the ball really well. Got a unique scheme defensively, one that you don't see except from them. So you know, it just takes a little different preparation time.
I think either you or Coach Sherman mentioned last year about that unique scheme, the 3-3-5. What makes it more difficult to attack than maybe some of the other defenses you see in the Big 12?
Just that. I mean, there's 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 overhangs, and I mean it's like everybody's up there, you know. And you say, well, throw the ball. I know they play deep, so you can't throw the ball deep and throw it underneath. I know those guys are like they're underneath because they got all those guys underneath. So, I mean, it's why they've been successful defensively this year, and they're having success as a football team. So it's just unique to them, and you know, we've put together a good plan as an offensive staff to attack them in the run game and the pass game.
What Iowa State do?
Kind of the same thing. I mean, just you know, there's things that you see that you know you got to be patient. You just got to be patient.
Why don't more defenses run that scheme?
You got to recruit to it. I think number one, you probably need to, you know, you got to understand how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've been doing it for a long time, so they get it and they understand it. To just say, hey, we're going to copy that defense, and like a lot of guys, you know, they have something that's unique and works. They don't share it. They don't want to share it. At least not.
Yeah.
Hey, come on in, let me tell you all, and then everybody runs it, and then it's not unique anymore, right? People try to copy it, but they don't really know the ins and outs like these guys do.
Many colleges do that, 3-3-5?
No, I haven't.
You haven't come across many at all.
No, these guys.
Yeah.
From my career, I've only seen these guys do it.
Yeah.
Do you think it may, because of the limited size at linebacker, only one of those guys is kind of like your average
Right.
linebacker size? Do you think that gives you all an advantage in running the football?
Yeah, you know, it is, but on the same token, you know, there's gaps there, you know what I mean? And there's guys in those gaps. So, you know, that's why you got to be patient. You got to kind of wear on our bigger bodies, you wear on their smaller bodies, and over time, you kind of wear on them, but you got to be patient. You can't get frustrated if things don't, you know, you're not scoring at a really fast clip against these guys.
Tom said he said on the headset at one point during the game that, you know, maybe y'all would like to go up tempo, but he kind of cautioned it and said, hey, we might need to run the ball a little bit, and kind of alluded to something that happening this week. Is that kind of a focus this week?
Yeah, I mean, there's game management, right? You got to manage the game, and you got to do what your team needs to do to win the ball game, whatever that is. So that's kind of where that comment and what he alluded to.
Sam's
last
throw to
ones?
Keontae, was that one of his best throws you've seen?
Yeah, that and the one to Beck. I mean, up the seam.
Yeah.
I know one thing. I played quarterback. I couldn't make that throw. I have a hard time just handing the guy the ball if he was standing next to me as good as he placed it on those two. But to credit to both those guys, those weren't easy catches. The guy was.
Right.
They were covered. They were covered really well. I mean, Oklahoma State had those guys covered, and ball placement was great. And those guys tracked the ball really well and hung on to it and made plays. Both of them.
All good?
Good.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, man. You got it.